Hi, I'm a higher ed social media manager and I have a confession. I never thought I'd need a comment strategy. Now, I don't mean a comment response strategy. I mean a comment strategy. Carissa Estreller is here to tell us exactly what that is. Welcome to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. I'm Jenny Li Fowler, award-winning social media professional, author, and podcast host, and a recognized voice across the social media marketing industry. Social media managers are navigating the wild, ever-changing world of higher ed communications, and I'm here to share the real stories and lessons behind the posts. Each episode explores the challenges, strategies, and untold moments that come with running social media accounts in today's digital landscape. Let's get into it. Hey, Carissa, welcome to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
You call yourself a digital culturalist, which I
Yes.
love. Can you explain to us what that is exactly?
Yeah, so a digital culturist is someone who studies the internet. Think of it like a little bit of a critic. They look at video content, they look at comments, they look at all the images. Their superpower is really pattern recognition and the self-awareness of to read the internet rooms and say like, "Oh, what is actually happening also out in the world?" and then piecing it together on like what the narrative and what are the microshifts happening in culture, because yes, is super important, but you need to also know what's happening in real life. And then you just piece it together and then say, oh, this is what's happening in this side of the internet room or this corner of the internet. And that's what a digital culturist does. One important note though, you also have to be aware of what internet rooms you're not welcome in as a
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, but that's part of, like, reading the room, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask, is that, is it the part of it is knowing how to read the room? And it sounds like you have to be a person with, like, high, like, emotional intelligence, right? And
Yes. But also media literacy is also
mm.
key. I think we've been ingrained in that as we are a little bit older. But media literacy, like we're always trained, what is the original source and where is this coming from, and validating is this true or not? Because that is also important, especially with the rise of AI.
I guess I'm a bit of a digital culturist myself, or
Yes.
I can say that I'm a dabbler. I find myself responding to the comment section probably the most strongly, out of, like, all of the content I see. Like, when I
Yeah.
open up the comments, I, like, crack up laughing,
Yeah.
or I'm, like, piping mad, or it really incites the strongest responses. When did the comment section become so relevant?
So you need to go back into the history of where it came from. So it happened about 20, 25 years ago when the internet was born, and forums were the most popular thing. Yahoo Answers were the thing where people were going through, and like that's where comment and threads came about. So it in itself, the internet behavior has always been there. But in 2020, with the relaunch of TikTok, more people making video content, and more people were watching video content on TikTok and seeing like, oh, cool. But the power of the algorithm actually made the comment section more valuable, because with
Mm.
TikTok, you see this video, and now the instinct, like what you said, was okay, this video is popular. I want to see how other people are reacting to it. Is there a hot take? Is there a funny comment? Is there someone just summarizing this long video into one comment? So you're like, okay, I'll watch it later, but I want to see how people are reacting. And that in itself is the social nature of the comment section. But the comment section is gold. And so something that a lot of social media managers and leads out there in the world, especially on LinkedIn, are saying the comment section is actually the show. Again, going into your behavior. You're watching a video and you're like, I'm just going to see what people are going to say in the comments. And as you participate in those comments and you actually contribute to a comment, you then become part of the show. That your comment might actually become viral. And so the algorithm, especially on LinkedIn, on TikTok, work in favor if there is a popular comment that is getting a lot of engagements. And you can see it on TikTok. People get like 40,000 likes on a comment, 50,000 likes. It gets a lot. The algorithm will see that and then will show it to more people. So it's like a combination of good quality video content mixed with like people who are like commenting in a really fun way.
That's amazing to me because when it comes to comments, I'm a bit of a lurker. And I love it when someone comments exactly what I'm thinking. I think the comments are so relatable, which kind of leads to my next question. Because I think as social media managers, we obsess and we focus in on the negative comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we're missing an opportunity here, right?
Yep.
With positive comments or even leaving comments ourselves as brands.
I think as you look at the insights your insights on your content strategy, or even like cultural insights to your entire industry, is reliant on how people are commenting, not only the negative but the positive, and dissecting the why. So you can look at the negative first and say, okay, why do people hate this part of the product, or why are they hitting this part of the problem in your industry? And then you dissect the why. And then you look at it from a different perspective of like, okay, what are the positives? What are people liking about this? What do they love about it? And then you look at, okay, what haven't we there's probably a few golden nuggets in those comments, so it will give you that core insight to be like, oh, we haven't seen anyone talk about that. That's interesting. And usually I try to find those types of comments. It's really rare, but like sometimes you have those comments, you're like, yes, that's it. And then I use it to formulate, can I make a content strategy out of this? Or a content piece
Mm.
from it. Then we concept around it, we put it out in the content cal, and usually it actually becomes the top performing piece of content and then becomes a serialized content from there.
So I love what you're saying. So there's one side of it, which is like the listening and monitoring. So
Hmm.
if we're seeing something like a complaint or a suggestion pop up over and over again, you should maybe listen to that, right? And have it
Yeah.
inform whatever product, whatever, content. But also you're saying if someone has an idea, you can kind of build on that and have it
Hmm.
inform future content, which
Absolutely.
I think that's amazing because, I've always said you should create more of what the audience wants. And if
Hmm.
they're telling you what they want,
Yeah.
you should take that advice, right?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah. And we used to do this in entertainment because I also came from the entertainment
oh,
world.
okay, okay.
So I did social media, and part of it was social media listening. And a lot of fans were like commenting on Twitter, this joke is so funny. And then we saw that joke being repeated. And I'm like, okay, people love this joke. Can we unpack the why?
Like,
And then people love these characters, people hated this character, people love this couple, and all of these things. So we analyzed it from that perspective, like in the
oh,
comments. Then
interesting.
we unpack the content themes, like, oh, they like this character because they are relatable, they're a mom, they talk about the hard shit. They love this couple because of course the sexy steamy scenes, all XYZ. And we wrapped it up and we actually sent it to the writers in the writers room to be like, hey, here's how your fans are liking actual content, because episodes were big content for them. And so if you think about it from the entertainment world, you can apply it to also in the social world too.
I love that because that's another example of where social media is like an instant feedback loop,
Hmm.
right? You can
Hmm.
actually hear instantaneously, almost like, oh, this is a great plot line, or oh, I
Yep.
love this character arc.
Yep.
You recently left a very effective
Mm.
comment on a Rachel Carton post. Can you
Yes.
can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so Rachel Garden, she's amazing. Her
Link in
content,
bio.
oh my
Yes.
God, link in bio, shout out to her. She posted on LinkedIn about, and it was just like a text and image, and the image was like talking about how someone was ranting about their CEO, and their CEO uses AI consistently, and they call it their buddy, and they presented something to the CEO, and the CEO is like, what does AI think about that? And
Mm,
so her post is really about like how CEOs and leaders are using AI, but what is the effect and team morale around it? Like, is now your team thinking like, oh, I got to run everything through AI before I send to my CEO, or is CEO just going to take something that I have developed and then run it through AI and say like, hey, what do you think?
mhm.
And that really stuck out to me because I was like, yes, that is something that I've seen. There's also something nobody's saying out loud. If a CEO can offer strategic input without running it through AI first, why are they exempt from the replacement conversation? We spent months debating how AI will displace entry level, mid level, and senior employees, but when a CEO uses it, it's always, oh, it's innovative. Nobody asked whether their judgment or vision or leadership is actually there anymore because they're using AI to just
Right.
think for them. Yeah,
Totally valid, right? Yeah.
and that comment got over now around 75,000 views. And that was just awesome to see. Like, wow, that is the value of comment section on, especially on LinkedIn and on TikTok. And that just like was amazing to see. And that in itself gave me more followers. People like DM'd me, like, oh, that's an awesome take.
It gave you podcast
It
opportunities,
gave me
right?
a podcast opportunity.
I mean, that's how we
Yeah,
met. Yeah.
exactly. And then I took that comment and I was like, hey, let me actually write my take on it. So that's where we actually met. So I saw that comment go viral in the LinkedIn world, and I took it and put it as my content piece. And I said, hey, this is how social is changing. The comment section is the actual show, which got even more visibility, which is awesome.
It's so smart because you're doing what we advise other people to do, is
Hmm.
that if you're seeing a nugget or something that's doing really well, have it inform future content and do more of
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah, exactly.
Chris, so smart. Okay, so sh is it time for organizations to have, like, a comment strategy?
Yes, absolutely. It should be rolled into community management for sure. I know community management right now is around publishing content, monitoring, also just making sure like nothing is like red flag. And if there's like DMs and comments, definitely respond to them, especially on your own channels. But the common strategy that you're talking about is looking at the industry related type of content or the conversations, and there's like a bunch of ways how you can look for those conversations to authentically give more value from your brand's point of view. However, I mean, CPG brands do this a lot on social. They have a very good comment strategy, and it's mostly taking the Wendy's approach, like, can I be witty? Can I be funny? And all of these things. That's top level. You need that. But right now, there's also perception is changing. Sometimes people are like, brands, what are you doing in my comment section? It's for the actual
It's
people.
it's
Uh,
true, it's true.
yeah,
There are times where, like, people do not wanna hear from brands, right?
exactly,
And,
exactly,
I guess that's going back to what we were talking about earlier, is to have the emotional intelligence to know not to enter that
exactly.
conversation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But from a founder's perspective, especially in B2B marketing, or just like if you're founder from a product or any product or service, I think that's where your comment strategy can be a bit fleshed up a bit more, and just saying like, hey, how do I get my voice? How do I get my value somewhere else? And that's where it's very, very valuable. I think in the CPG industry space, I think they hit a threshold.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, just for our listeners that are not as familiar, can you Can you give what's CPG industry?
Snack brands, anything that you can buy that is a consumer product, like toothpaste, coffee.
So what you're saying is it maybe gives a founder or like someone influential within your brand to
Hmm.
maybe enter in conversations as an expert or
Yes.
right or an expert opinion or an influencer. Is that where
Hmm.
you're saying so maybe more so than like MIT like saying something, because I always think that's a little abstract, right? But if we have an expert in thermonuclear dynamics, they can sort of enter a conversation.
Or like even from the MIT perspective, if someone, I mean, that's like a very like broad category in itself,
Yeah.
and you have different layers to it, of course,
Yes, yes, yes.
from the different courses that you have at MIT. But MIT is a very well known brand, so people kind of know what it's about. Hopefully, but a way into that is, especially on TikTok, if there is any inkling of someone who is just really loves science or technology, and you commenting from that thing and saying like, hey, we see you, keep going, and like just giving that praise will even be like a big thing for that person creating the content and also loving science and technology, but also in the comment section too, of like, oh, MIT is also paying attention to these people who are creating the change in
Yeah,
science and technology.
I feel like that's a little bit lower lift if you're like a smaller team, right?
Hmm.
Because who doesn't love like acknowledgement or affirmation from a brand, right?
Yeah.
Like I like to use this example because it's so silly, but I posted about Triscuit. I knew I became an adult when Triscuits started tasting good. I was like, this is delicious. What happened? I'm like, oh, I'm an adult now. But Triscuit like entered the conversation and I fangirled over Triscuit. Like why? But it's because they saw they acknowledged it. They saw my post and it made me feel seen, right?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think I think people love that, like
Yep.
feeling seen by a brand, right?
Yes.
And so
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Feeling seen.
And I love that that's a little bit more doable when you're like a team of one, right?
Which is mostly always the case.
Oh, yeah. And while the other case might take a little bit more doing, I think you're right. It can be its own strategy. It can be its own form of content, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think you told me that LinkedIn has added metrics on comments. Is that right?
Yeah, they added metrics, but it is very bare bones and basic right now. They added how many impressions you get from that comment, which is great. No other platform has done that yet.
Okay.
I think TikTok, you can see obviously the likes and how much engagement it has, and it's similar to this, but the impressions and view count, LinkedIn is owning that. And I think that is super important, especially on LinkedIn. The algorithm, they're taking all of these components together to say, like, okay, what can we credibly, like, are they a thought leader in itself? Can we bring this back to the table? And so that more people can read it. I think that's super valuable. And then again, that makes more people comment and stay in the platform.
No, that's really interesting because maybe we'll see more platforms do it, right?
Yeah,
Like it would be interesting if platforms made that move to offer that
yeah,
feature, which seems reasonable. Like
yeah.
I
I
could
think that probably the next one would be TikTok, because TikTok wants more people to stay on that platform,
and it makes
especially
it
when they're losing users from the Gen Z world. So they need something too.
where are they going?
I don't know yet. I am trying to
Mm,
determine where they're going, but I just saw an
mm,
article that Gen Zs are dropping on TikTok for the first year ever.
interesting.
It might be going back to in real life, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't hate that, right?
Yeah.
But so do you think some of the commenting came out of like, do you remember like live streaming and
Mm-hmm.
when that became big and people were literally like interacting with each other and interacting with the live streamer, which a lot of streamers still do, right? They look over and
Yep.
say, spam me this
Yep.
emoji if you agree or,
Yep.
disagree. Do
Yep.
you think that helped launch a lot of us, like as a user, wanting to look at the comments?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, definitely. Live stream was definitely a component of it. Reddit is actually probably one of the biggest drivers in that behavior,
Oh, that's a great
because it is a very like
example.
Reddit
Yeah.
thread and people pay attention. The asset of Reddit is comments and how people are interacting with each other. And so when people are going to Reddit, they are trained in that behavior. So that is naturally going into other platforms.
Okay. So just any advice on social media managers, like if they haven't been reading the comments, how do they
Mm,
incorporate that in?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and how do how do you wrap your brain around all this?
I mean, I feel for the social media now, especially if you're a team of one, it is a lot of things to do. You are concepting on a content calendar. You're creating the content probably, or working with hopefully with a one creative person to create the content. So you have to create that brief and with that insight, like this is how many assets we need. And then just acknowledging like they also probably are doing community management, so they're like they're publishing, they're looking, they're responding to comments, but barely have time. And then, of course, at the end of every month or beginning of every month, they have to do reporting. So it's a lot of things on one person to do in 1 month. And one of the key things that made me a stronger social media manager was social listening. If you value social listening in the upfront, saying like, what are people commenting in the industry? How are they responding? How are they even DMing us? How are they commenting on our posts? Take that as qualitative insights. And then let it fuel your brief for your content strategy. So social listening should always be at the upfront and consistently. And it will get easier as you're doing this and carve out time, whether it's in the morning or evening, and your pattern recognition will just be much stronger. So when you're creating that brief, you're like, oh, I don't have to pull through all of these comments because I've been doing it consistently every day, and I've noticed these comments come in, or I've noticed that in my industry, a lot of people are talking about XYZ. Now, when it's time to create that brief, you already have that knowledge in the back of your,
Hmm.
and then you create that brief, and then the content strategy is there. So that is how I would recommend thinking about social media, especially in your early days.
You're essentially saying just carve it into your day that it just becomes like muscle memory. Like you
Mm-hmm.
just do it. And I have to say, I think that is something that's just something that happened for me gradually is
Mm-hmm.
I just look at I mean, I don't even think about it. I just do it.
Yep.
Right. And so I like that very much. So if Carissa is making you rethink comments, comment us on the platform of your choice about this topic, and subscribe and rate us in the podcast listening app of your choice. and
Yes.
and Carissa, I have one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your confession?
Everyone's going to agree on this, and if you do, put it in the comment section.
I like it.
Social media teams can no longer be a team of one in 2026. And if it is,
Loud
you're,
applause, please.
you're,
Yeah.
you're never going to win.
And by never going to win, meaning that you're never gonna break through the noise.
Yes.
I love it. Carissa, thank you so much for joining
Of
us on the
course.
podcast.
Yes. Yeah. I had a blast. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. This show is a proud member of the Enrollify network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow, so be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.